All right, good morning. Thanks for joining me on another ride to the gym. Today is the last lifting day of the week following a new full body split here in the month of July. Testing it out, seeing how it's going to go. Right now, I am in the first week of sticking to specifically 3 full body lifting days. So far, I am not enjoying it, and that is okay. I'm going to keep at it. I said I would keep going till the end of the month, so we've got about 2 more weeks here to go. All right, let's talk today about transitioning from training at home to transitioning to training inside of a commercial or traditional, like big box type gym. Big, small, whatever it may be, but you get the gist. It's a gym where you have access to plenty of machines, also have access to free weights, likely have a locker room, all that stuff. This question came up on my feed where someone was asking for advice specifically on transitioning from working out solely at home and now going into specifically Planet Fitness was what this person was talking about. But this can really apply to making that move from working out by yourself at home with free weights, and then you realize that in order to make the progress that you want to make, you have likely outgrown the equipment that you have had available at home and you need access to more stuff. First, congratulations, because you're getting stronger and you've outgrown what you have available or what you are willing to make available at home. I've seen some of these home gyms that could put commercial gyms to absolute shame. I have one primary tip for those of you who may be in this particular situation where you've been training at home, you've gained some consistency there, and now you realize I need access to more equipment as far as maybe integrating some machines, and or I need access to heavier weights, more plates, more dumbbells, more kettlebells. My A1 thing for you is, when you first start out, don't make some sort of huge astronomical change to the program that you're doing when you transition from home into the gym. So an astronomical change would be something like, give you an example. I typically on my upper body day do dumbbell bench press, then I do dumbbell rows, then I do some TRX rows, and I do some lateral raises with the dumbbells. And now, because you have access to free weights, because you have access to machines in the gym, you switch that dumbbell bench press to a machine chest press. You switch the dumbbell rows to machine-based rows. You switch the lateral raises that you were doing with dumbbells over to a lateral raise machine. There's some pretty solid ones that I've seen. So the reason that I don't recommend that you suddenly move all of those movements over to machine-based is because that's a lot of change happening all at once, and I strongly recommend that you allow yourself time to really acclimate yourself to the different types of machines, to the environment itself, even getting a good feel for when things are crowded and when they're not. It takes time to really kind of feel your groove and get the vibe of what goes on inside of the gym. And I say that in what's supposed to be an encouraging and empowering way, not like there's a lot to think about, so you probably shouldn't bother. It's more along the lines of a common, what I believe, mistake that I see is folks will take a program and they'll say, okay, now that I have access to these machines, I'm going to change my entire program to all machines. So anything I was doing that was dumbbell based is now all going to be machines because now I have access to those. Here's what I would recommend that you do instead. In that example that I mentioned, where you were doing dumbbell bench press, you were doing dumbbell row, you were doing dumbbell lateral raises, you were doing some sort of TRX movement, I would recommend start off with changing just your compound movement, your big movement that's typically at the beginning of your workout, and then keep everything else the same, at least for the first week to 2 weeks, just so you can allow yourself to, again, get a feel for where things are located, how things flow, and understanding how to utilize the different machines that you now have available to you. So if you primarily had been doing dumbbell bench press and now you're at a gym that has a machine chest press, then swap that, do that machine chest press, and then continue on with doing your dumbbell rows and your dumbbell lateral raises and your TRX pull-ups or whatever the case may be. If it was like a leg day and now you want to switch, you've been doing dumbbell goblet squats because what you had available at home was dumbbells or kettlebells, and now you want to be able to either use a barbell for back squatting or you want to be able to use the leg press. That's all good. I recommend go ahead and make that swap, and then slowly but surely your other movements that you had been doing with resistance bands or dumbbells, each one of those you can slowly but surely then swap for a machine version if that's what you want to do. It doesn't mean, just because you go in a gym doesn't mean that all of a sudden you just abandon all free weights, because remember, more likely than not, one of the main things that drove you and inspired you to go join the gym was so that you could have access to heavier free weights also. So that's what I wanted to throw out there. My main tip for you that may be transitioning from home gym into the commercial gym is don't immediately scrap everything that you've been doing in your home gym. In fact, I would look at mimicking your home gym program into basically the full gym version. Start there, allow yourself time to really feel the groove, get an idea of what the crowd is like, when machines are available, all that stuff. So hopefully that helps. All right, time to go lift. Talk to you later.